Daria here, and this is my tag response video for my 5 most nostalgic games. I was tag teamed by 2 different YouTubers for this topic. The first was Nintendo. He runs a pickup channel where he kind of chronicles his collection and his different trades and scores and how he's building up his library of games. And he does this in a very friendly, laid-back, anecdotal manner while listening to some really awesome metal. If that sounds like something you'd like, you can check out my description, kind of down there, in the crotch region, and I'll provide a link to his channel. The second YouTuber was Pam from Cannot Be Tamed. She is a kind of classic gaming reviewer who is very laid back and just very soothing to listen to. She covers a lot of kind of old NES and Sega games as well as PC titles and shooters. Again, if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I know that I like both these channels, you can check out the Crotch. They're in the Crotch. Alright, so let's get to the games. My first choice is a game I know you've never heard of. It's quite obscure. Not every gamer in the world has, played this one. The Legend of Zelda. The classic sword fighting adventure title about an elf on his mission to save the princess. I first played The Legend of Zelda when I was about 6 years old. That was in 1989, for those of you who don't realize that I'm quite old. And you know what? I nearly beat the stupid thing when I was 6. However, if you're familiar with kind of NES hardware, it can be quite finicky. And at some point when I was kind of hitting those buttons there, power and reset, I shorted my battery and completely lost my save game. And I would not beat The Legend of Zelda for another 16 years. But you know what? Because I had played it at such a young age, that shit was like a second language. I knew every bush to burn and every rock to blow up, and I was able to pretty much just run through it. And I can't remember games I played last month, but I can remember how to beat The Legend of Zelda. My next game is The Defenders of Oasis. When I was in the 4th grade, my best friend had gotten a Game Gear, and I was absolutely enthralled, and I begged my dad for one. And he delivered along with this game, which is sort of an Arabian Nights themed Dragon Quest clone. And it is really good. There's a lot of kind of interesting puzzles in it that, it's the first game I played that had one of those sliding ice puzzles where you gotta move the blocks around, and because you're on ice, they shoot over to the end, and then you gotta get them in the right spot by moving other ice blocks. But yeah, I spent an entire year playing this game. I took it on car trips, I took it in the bathroom, I played it in my room, I played it in school when I ought to be learning. I played this everywhere, and when I wasn't playing it, my dad was playing it, because he would take my Game Gear and he would run off with it, and he would be cracked out on this game. So, then a year later, because we had gotten a Genesis as well as the Game Gear, a year later, I was in Toys R Us and I saw this. Shining Force 2, the sequel to my favorite game of all time. I did not know this even existed. It was just looking down at me from the aisles of Toys R Us. I had to own this game, so I begged my mother, and she said no. But for my birthday, lo and behold, there waiting for me was a copy of Shining Force 2, and it was everything that I imagined it to be. It was the original with brighter colors and brighter colors, really. I like the original better, but this game is amazing, and I loved it, and I spent my entire winter vacation playing it. I even, at one point, I couldn't figure out, there's a wooden panel you have to put in a tree, and I couldn't figure that out, and I just wandered around for days not knowing how to proceed. But luckily, this is like one of the few tactical RPGs in the world that has random encounters, so I was able to just kind of grind battles, and there was always something to do. But eventually I figured it out. I did. I figured it out, and I went on to beat the game, and I love it. And everything from the music to the characters to the menu system is just brings back so many nostalgic memories for me. So yeah, that's why I picked that one. It's nostalgia. That's the name of the video, right? Okay. I'm really not good at unscripted vlogging. Sorry. This is why I edit my content. This is why you get high production values, because one, my webcam is a piece of shit, and two, I am not an improvist. Is that a word? It is now. Okay. So next game, fast forward a few years, and I would go on to play... Oh, crap, now I'm getting like... PlayStation games are so shiny. I mean, clearly you can see that's Parasite Eve. Alright, so I didn't actually own this game. I would go over to my cousin's house for family events. My cousin Danny is a couple years older than me, but he was always showing off new role-playing games that he had gotten. I can remember going over there and he's like, you gotta see this, you gotta see this. And he'd pull out, the original Lunar with the, the cardboard omeki box. I think that's, I don't know how you say it, it's Japanese. But, the big colorful cardboard box with the cloth map inside. And he's like, this is amazing. And he was the first one to show me Final Fantasy VII, with, big spiky hair and giant sword. But Parasite Eve was different because it was... unlike any other role-playing game I played at the time. I was used to medieval fantasy games with, elves and dwarves and barbarians and big swords and, different worlds and the ice caverns and the volcanic mountains. But Parasite Eve was a very serious horror title that took place in modern day, I think New York. I don't think it's Tokyo. I think it's actually in New York. And you are this kind of hardened female police detective, and you're going to the opera, and while the, singer is up there on stage, and they got these gorgeous FMVs that I'd never seen before with their kind of very cinematic experience. It was a very cinematic experience. So the chick's up there singing, and she, sprouts these tentacles out of her hair and her arms, and people are screaming in the aisle, and they're running away, and here comes Ayla. I think Ayla's the chick's name. Here comes Ayla, whips out her gun, and she runs up. She runs up there, and she's going to solve this mystery, and then she's searching through the opera house, and she's going down into the sewers, and I was completely blown away. I hadn't played anything like that before at the time, and it's a title that really just stuck with me for being so different, for being groundbreaking. So, Danny, if you're watching this, thank you so much for introducing me to this title and many, many others. Alright, so like I said, I didn't have a PlayStation when I played that. Well, when I was first kind of introduced to it, but I would play this. Damn. Brr. The world's falling over. Here we go. You can see it, it's Breath of Fire. You can still see my face. There we go. I would get this. Breath of Fire 3. I had gone to visit my brother in Minnesota. He had moved up there with his wife. And when I was 14, I had gone to spend the summer with them. And because my brother worked, we went to the rental shop to find me a game that I could play when he wasn't home. And I picked out Breath of Fire 3 because it was 2D and gorgeous and beautiful, and I was like, this looks awesome. And it was to me a 16-bit RPG all grown up. The sprites were huge, they were detailed, and the story was so better written. It was more engaging. You start the game off, you're this little dragon, and these miners, not like children, but like pickaxes. These miners, not this. I can't get my hand in there for the joke. Not this, but this. Pickaxes with 2 hands, but I'm holding my camera, so I can't. Sorry. Okay. Miners. they release the dragon from some sort of crystal, and he goes like haywire, and he starts roasting them alive. And, you know, they're chasing him, and he's scared, and finally they catch him, and they put him on this train, and you go off you're on this cart, and you're trying to get free, and you're shaking. And it was cool because you had to hit the left and right buttons on the controller, and at first you're watching this train, it's just going and going and going, nothing's happening, and then you're like, well, you know, you get the Capcom was counting on the gamer to get frustrated and start just randomly hitting buttons on the controller. So then you figure out if you hit the left and right buttons on the D-pad, the dragon starts shaking the train car until he falls off. And then at this point, because he's not a normal dragon, he's like a Japanese great dragon or something, he turns into a naked little boy. And there's a naked little boy laying in the forest, and these wolves come up and they're going to eat him, but then it's, you know, this giant were-tiger shows up and saves him, and then that kind of starts off the whole adventure. It's now kind of the game starts off with these three characters: the were-tiger, the little boy dragon, and then another little boy. So you got Ryu, and Tipo, and it's them trying to survive as sort of poor urchins, you know. So they're stealing from people, but they're really good-natured about it. And then, of course, their adventures go from there. But this was the first time I'd ever played anything with that kind of engaging of a storyline. You know, it was very character-driven, and I had mostly played kind of generic RPGs that were about, you know, saving the world. Parasite Eve, notwithstanding. But... So this was amazing to me, and I absolutely had to have this game. So I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, I really need a PlayStation. Give me a PlayStation. And, you know, for, you know, that winter for my birthday, I indeed got a PlayStation. I did not get Breath of Fire 3, though. I got Star Ocean 2, which is an amazing game, and I love it, and I'm glad that I did, because there's a lot of good memories there. But I didn't get Breath of Fire 3. So come Christmas, I asked everyone I knew, my family, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, I don't know, everybody. I asked everybody for Breath of Fire 3, and I ended up getting not only 2 copies of Breath of Fire 3, but my dad accidentally bought me Blazing Dragons, which is an adventure point-and-click game that's a lot like Discworld. And it's got like pythons doing the voices and Cheech Marin. It's just a very silly game, and totally not Breath of Fire 3. I enjoyed it, but it was not what I expected. And my dad does that a lot. He gets names wrong. So anyway, I'm gonna zoom out a bit. I'm sorry, I split the entire video with the camera up my nose. Sorry, guys. All right, so there you have it. Those are my glasses are picking up all the damn reflection. That is my guerrilla style top 5 most nostalgic games video. The other part of this video is I have to tag other people. So I am going to tag 10 Button Gamer. Now this is a very small channel, but I enjoy watching this guy's content. He puts out so much of it. He does Let's Plays, he does skits, he does first impressions, he does reviews, and he does taste testings, which are actually very entertaining. I would recommend those. So yeah, 10 Button Gamer, if you're watching this, and I know that you are, you know, please respond. Let's get some, let's hear your opinions. I'm going to tag another channel, which is the Dolly Popka. I am kind of being a little devious here because the Dolly Popka is on kind of a recording vacation, but I really want to make more content. So, you hear that, Popka? I want you to put out a video. I want to hear your most fun nostalgic games. His channel, and I, again, very much recommend that you go check it out. He covers primarily original Xbox games, which I know sounds like a weird thing for me to be into, but I have a lot of fond memories with that system. I had it when it was new. I didn't have a PlayStation 2. I chose the Xbox because it had a lot of American role-playing games I was into, because I'm not just into the Japanese stuff. I like American stuff too. But yeah, he covers original Xbox, and he's been branching out into some other reviews as well. He's got a good one up right now for Threads of Fate, which is a PlayStation platforming action RPG from Square. Again, all of this is in the description. Remember, the crotch, it's down there. Check it out. And thank you for thank you for checking in. This has been Daria, and I will see you again on one of my much better, more professional, less gorilla cams videos things. All right. Thanks for checking in. Bye.